Hi, everybody. It's Ben from Bitrise here, and I am joined by Victor, our CTO.
Okay.
And today we're here to talk about Maven Central. So recently, Maven Central started to do some rate limiting of downloads of dependencies. And it extends to a previous blog post by a bunch of maintainers of package registries who basically have said that there's a real cost associated with hosting these registries, and so the model needs to change. And so we prepared this video to explain to you what has changed here at Bitrise and what we're doing about these rate limiting events, and then how it affects you in the long term. And so, yeah, Victor, why don't you tell us a little bit about how some of this rate limiting affects the Java ecosystem in Bitrise and beyond?
All right. Yeah, absolutely. So the errors that we are talking about here, the 429 errors, that just means that the server returns rate limited or an error that indicates that you are sending requests too frequently to that server. So what happened, and that started last year, is that Maven Central started to apply some rate limits, and we started to discuss the solutions with them. But essentially, what happens in these scenarios is that we have the Bitrise infrastructure, lots of builds running on that infrastructure, and if enough of those builds start to connect to and try to download dependencies from Maven Central, then Maven Central says that Bitrise itself is requesting too many in a short amount of time from them. So when we detected this last year, we started to discuss the details with Sonatype and Maven Central, and at the same time, we also started to think about what we should do in addition to what they are arguing for, a sustainable infrastructure overall for everyone. We also wanted to protect our own customers as much as possible. And so what we developed is that instead of your build, usually Android builds and Gradle as a build tool, connecting to Maven Central directly to download dependencies from Maven Central, we introduced a new component in our infrastructure, which is a repository manager. Right now, it's only managing Maven Central, but it's designed so that other registries could be added to it. And what it does is that your build connects to the repository manager, and the repository manager checks whether that specific dependency you want to download from Maven Central, whether that's already available there in the repository manager. That's because that's part of the Bitrise infrastructure. We have these in every single data center we have, so it doesn't even have to go outside the data center. The advantage of this, other than just preventing rate limiting errors, is that this is also a little bit faster, not drastically, but because it's in the same network, in the same data center, it's actually faster to download those things from the repository manager than from Maven Central. And obviously, this adds one more layer where these dependencies are stored. So to give you an example, if Maven Central is down, it's not just for the rate limiting error, maybe it's down for other reasons. The dependencies which are already loaded into the repository manager will still be available for the builds running on Bitrise. And obviously, if we get rate limiting errors, one, we reduce the amount of outgoing traffic to Maven Central, so that's good for them as well. And in case of there's any rate limiting happening, we can still serve at least the vast majority of dependencies from the repository manager. So it's both performance and reliability improvement overall.
And Victor, I saw some of the numbers internally. We reduced our overall number of requests to Maven Central by about 99%, and the overall amount of data by a ridiculous 2,000 times reduction in the amount of data that they're serving now to Bitrise. So we significantly decreased the load on them.
Absolutely. And all of those data are now coming from inside the data center. So closer and additional reliability. There are also circuit breakers in the system. So if our repository registry manager would be down, then your request would still go out to Maven Central. So there's additional reliability improvement in that. But an important detail, what we did so far, we rolled this out only for Gradle, for the Gradle build tool. And obviously Maven Central is used in other Java ecosystem build tools and important components, like if someone would use Maven for building their project, those additional tools are not yet supported. The way the architecture and the infrastructure works and the API works absolutely supports other build tools, but we started with Gradle because the majority of our customers connecting to Maven Central do that through Gradle for their Android projects usually.
So thank you so much for explaining that to us, Victor. I think I'll just briefly summarize. This is a trend that we're going to see throughout the open source package registries. We are beginning to see it in the JVM world with Maven Central. The Bitrise customers are able to use this built-in repository manager that is essentially functions as a pull-through cache. It's available without any charge to all Bitrise customers, and even the people who are using it, which is it's enabled by default, they're going to see some small performance improvement in their builds.
Absolutely, and lots of reliability improvements.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching. If you have any questions, just send us a note to letsconnect@bitrise.io.
Absolutely. Thank you. See you, everyone.